baby, I'm feeling this one today. Oh, here we go. Another episode of Budget Lawns. I don't know what it is. It's a beautiful fall day. It's a Saturday morning. And I just got it flowing through me. And I thought, you know what? When I'm flowing, I got to get in the old trusty rocking chair. And let's do one of my favorite videos. We're going to talk about two things today on this episode of Budget Lawns. The first one, we're going to talk about what I didn't do this season. The lawn care. I won't say never have I ever. I did an edition of this last year, the lawn care never have I ever, but there are so many things you can't do to your lawn, but we'll kind of make this a follow-up to that one. If you haven't seen that one, I'll leave a link to that down below, but we tend to talk all the time about the things we're doing to our lawn, so let's talk about what I didn't do in the 2020 season, because I think it will show you that sometimes less is more, or just you don't have to do so much. So that's the first thing we'll talk about. The second thing we'll talk about is kind of what's happening in the lawn right now as we're progressing through this fall season. Just a little update on how things are looking in the front yard, in particular, backyard. It is what it is. Right now I've got a dog that for some reason out of nowhere has decided to dig. Not really dig, but just kind of take her big paws and scuff up the grass. I mean, I had grass everywhere and it's driving me nuts, but what can you do? So, before we get started, thank you for being here. First of all, I really do appreciate you if you're subscribed already. You know how much and how happy I'm always to have you here joining me. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. Hit that thumbs up button if you like this video. And you know what? If you don't like this video, you actually help me out with a thumbs down. A lot of people don't know that, but when you thumbs down a video, you increase its engagement, and that tells YouTube, hey, show it to more people. So when you think you're getting somebody with that thumbs down, you're really helping them out, because look, we work in the statistic game here, and the statistics usually show that more people will thumbs it up than they will thumbs it down. So whether you like it or not, hit one of them. I would appreciate that. Leave me a comment as well. I love the discussions and engaging with you. It really makes this a lot more worthwhile. So when I talk about the things that I did not do in my lawn this season, two things. Because I tried a few extra things this year, but there are two things that I did not try. First, I don't know if you'd really call this trying anything, but I did not have to use one piece of equipment this year that I've had to use every year in the past, and that is my 2-gallon hand can tank sprayer. You see where it's at back there? It has been there since the 2019 season. It's covered in cobwebs. I have not touched it this year. I have not sprayed a single thing on my lawn out of it. The only thing I've sprayed on my lawn this year was a hose-in sprayer of the bio-advanced fungicide, just in a Hail Mary attempt to try and minimize my spring dead spot this fall and then for next spring. But when it comes to that pump sprayer, it has not been touched. I have not sprayed any liquid fertilizer. I have not sprayed any pre- or post-emergent herbicides. I have not used it for a single thing. So how did I get away without having to spray any weed killer? Well, I just was on a great pre-emergent plan. I used it in the fall last year, and then again to start this year in January, and then my spring application. That, along with good cultural practices of just frequent mowing, proper watering, regular fertilization, and just getting a nice, thick, lush canopy, just help keep the weeds at bay. And I'm telling you, I was pretty much weed free this year. And it's not as hard as we make it sometimes. It just takes the right, simple lawn care techniques to make it happen. Now, One other thing, you ask, well, what else can I do to, keep the weeds out of my lawn or prevent them or get rid of them? I've said this before and I'll say it again. Use your fingers. Just pick the dang things. If you see weeds in your lawn, don't let them become a problem. Just pick them. And here's one that I picked. Every single one this season. Every time I saw it, I picked it. I didn't care what anyone else said. I don't care what anyone else is going to say about this, but I picked every single nutsedge in my lawn this year. Every single one of them. If I saw it, I picked it. Too many times you hear everybody screaming and yelling, do not pick the nutsedge no matter what you do, do not pick it. And guess what? If you don't pick it and you don't take care of it right away, it just becomes a bigger and bigger problem, and then it's too late. Look, from everything I understand about nutsedge, if you pick them early and get as much out as possible, you just weaken the plant. And the more you do it, the more consistent you stay with it, it just will stop coming back. And aside from a few stretches after some rainy periods where I saw some pop up, was never an issue this year. And I just went around and picked the few that I saw every time I saw them. So that was the first thing I didn't do this year. I did not use my tank sprayer for anything. The second thing I did not do this year, and I'm only going over two, I did not use any form of iron. I take that back. The only iron I used was in my ProCare Natural Fertilizer, which was just a small percentage, but I did not use any other form of iron supplement to make my lawn greener. Because I tell you what, if you do all the basics right, your lawn will be green anyways, and here is the only person that cares about your super dark green lawn. No one cares about it as much as you do. Sure, people might notice it when they drive by, but they stop thinking about it when they get to the next driveway. I mean, yeah, it looks great, but I like seeing how dark I can get it without throwing extra stuff on it. Actually, we had someone in my neighborhood that always throws a ton of iron on the lawn. It almost looks black. And I've actually had people call me and text me and say, what in the world is going on with that dude's lawn? It just looks like silly. So there is a point where you can overdo it to where it just doesn't look natural and it just doesn't look right. Because let's face it, to non-lawn care fanatics and nuts like we are, there's that fine line between it looking like a really nice lawn in the neighborhood and then just looking silly and unachievable or fake. And hey, look, I'm not dogging anyone. You may like it that way. But for me, look, here on Budget Lawns, I try to spend as little money and as little time as possible to accomplish my goals. And I do that by just doing less. And I've had a great season, and things always seem to work out. So how are things working out right now to finish up the season? Let's take a look, because I will tell you, the weather went from like pretty cold, highs in the 60s with lows in the 30s and 40s, to now we're back in the 80s with lows at night in the 50s and 60s again. So I will say that the lawn isn't confused, it's just slow to check out and go to sleep. We have not had a good freeze yet. We've had some patchy frosts, but that has not been enough to just do the Bermuda in. But it is starting to go dormant, and in particular it's starting to go dormant. Now I'm going to turn this camera around and it looks terrible. There's still some dew on the ground. It's early in the morning, so it makes it look worse than it really is after it dries and the sun kind of normalizes things. But it's starting to particularly go dormant where I have my common Bermuda. And it's pretty evident where the common Bermuda is, and especially where my spring dead spots were. Right there, right here, right here. That is just where the grass was just never really that healthy and thick this season. So it is checking out first. And common Bermuda is just not great at staying greener longer and resisting disease like, say, a hybrid Bermuda is. So you can see over here where my hybrid is in the front lawn. Look how much greener that is all the way up that strip. Looks so much better hanging in there, a lot better than the old cheap, nasty, common stuff. More common over here. And then we'll go to the other side of the yard where it's a mix between common and hybrid as well. And that's why I always say, look, if you don't know what variety you've got, I would much prefer that I have one variety here. That way it looks a lot more uniform. But this is what I have to deal with, and I just do the best with what I have. There again, common there, starting to check out more. Hybrid here, hanging in there a little bit better. So you may ask, how did I end up with the two different kinds of my front lawn anyways? If you've never heard this story before, my back lawn was poorly graded when I built the house. So they had to come in and regrade it, and by doing that, they had to come in on the sides of the front lawn to grade it better to receive water coming out of the back lawn. And when they did that, they tore up the common Bermuda that was there, and second time around they came in with hybrid Bermuda. So good in one way, bad in another, because now I'm split in the front yard. But when the summer gets going and I'm taking care of it, no one can tell but me. Okay, my friends, that is all we have for this edition of Budget Lawns. Thanks again so much for joining me. Really wasn't planning on this video today, but the wife and kiddos went to the park, so I thought, you know what? Let's do it. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.